Prasad Pod. I'm your host, Jarrell Prasad.
And I'm Paul Campbell.
How you doing, guys? We've got a few topics here we would like to discuss. So, first topic here is the government shutdown. I myself am a disabled veteran, and I rely on my VA disability pay. So, come next week, we'll see if that is being affected. Trump did say that he's gonna make sure that active duty soldiers gets paid, and we've seen that since the 15th that active duty soldiers have gotten paid. But now it's going to affect the shutdown's going to affect people like myself who, you know, worked prior for the government, but depend on that money to, sustain their lives. So we're, that's just something that we got to deal with. And, we'll see what happens between now and uh, November 1st.
Yeah, I think the original reason why the shutdown began, or is the Democrats wanted a universal health care for illegal immigrants, or migrants as they call them, which is totally, that just means taxes for people who aren't Americans, more taxes that benefit people who aren't Americans, which is obviously ridiculous. And it's absolutely disgusting that they would put people who aren't from here over people who have served our country. And it just goes to show their treasonous nature and how they're literally evil. Like I was, but the shutdown, during the shutdown, we've had a peace deal brokered in Israel. We've had Trump, very openly criticizing Israel, talking about annexing the Gaza Strip, how he's never going to allow that to happen. One thing I was encouraged about is, again, during the shutdown, is J.D. Vance went over to Israel and he visited Jesus's tomb, and he declined visiting the Wailing Wall and kissing the wall and all that stuff, which I find encouraging. I mean, I'm there's a few things that have been going on that I think are again encouraging. We're moving in the right direction. I'm kind of surprised and baffled about this whole why people are upset that they're renovating the ballroom. They're destroying this one east wing of the White House or something like that, and they're going to build a really big ballroom. Trump is doing that on his own dime and also taking donations from people who donated to his campaign, including Ripple, I might add, and Palantir. But I don't understand why, like, the White House was burned down once. It's been renovated like half a dozen times. Um, it was even renovated under Obama. They knocked out a bunch of rooms, destroyed them, and rebuilt them. No, and you can find the glowing puff pieces about how great it's going to look. So again, if you can't see through the matrix at this point, I don't, I don't know what to do for you, because they slant the coverage that whatever, even Trump just renovating a room is a bad thing and is white supremacy and is tyranny and fascism. But then Obama does the same exact thing, and look how great it is. We're going to do a whole 15-minute segment on ABC about how great it is and how beautiful and how great, Michelle Obama even has some say in it. This is so great. So come on, guys. Like,
Yeah,
if
I
if you
mean
can't
that.
figure out that the news is fake at this point, what are we even doing here?
Yeah, that also goes back to the point. Like they just challenge everything Trump does. So, I mean, they say that the government shutdown is, related to healthcare for illegal immigrants, but that's the narrative that we hear,
Right.
behind the scenes that they're probably just saying that just so because that's the most ridiculous thing you could think of. Universal health care for illegal immigrants. That's ridiculous. They're just using that as an excuse to stop Trump and cause the shutdown and make Trump look bad. That's
And
my opinion.
and not only, like, think about how much of a slap in the face it is to people who have immigrated to America legally. That these other folks who didn't do things the right way, don't assimilate, don't learn the language, they send the money they earned back overseas to where they came from, because the money in whatever country, presumably from South America or even some of the Asian Pacific countries, the dollar's obviously worth more, and they send it back home. So it takes taxable revenue out of what could otherwise be used for things to help America, it's sent overseas, and half the time they don't have their paperwork done properly. They don't pay taxes. It's an absolute slap in the face to anybody who's immigrated to this country. Um, I'm sorry, I had to count. I'm a fourth generation immigrant. My parents, my on my mom's side, my great grandparents came over here from Ireland, and they did it the right way. They got their citizenship, they assimilated, they started businesses, they never committed crime. So and then from.
Yeah, I'm a first generation immigrant.
Mhm.
I came over here from Guyana, and my parents did it the right way and applied for their citizenship. And I became a naturalized citizen through them underneath because I was under 18 when they got their citizenship. So,
And you served our country. You did
and
the
I
right
served.
thing.
Yeah. So I'm a veteran. So, and like, you know, like for illegal immigrants to get universal health care, and I still have to pay for like TRICARE, even though I could get like VA care, but VA care is like next to no care, you know?
That's another reform that needs to take place. And I know Trump has talked about working on it. It's certainly on the radar, but I mean, yeah, it's the Democrats holding literally holding American citizens hostage over something this ridiculous is, I just there's a saying like, find your hill to die on, right? And like that's the hill
Mhm.
you're going to die on. Again, to your point earlier, it could be there's probably 50 different things that are, t you know, well, to their donors and to their lobbyists, even bigger issues or as big an issue, but I can't believe that was the hang up. And but like I saw somebody said, "Hey, how weird. The government shuts down and we get a peace treaty with is between Israel and Palestine." Now that I don't at this point like there's been like 10 peace treaties. It's like I don't even know
Yeah.
how many.
I mean, it
It's
only lasts until, uh, one of them breaks the ceasefire, and it's either, sometimes it's Israel, sometimes it's Palestine. It just, it, don't hold your breath on it.
and some folks I think still don't really see how Trump operates. And what I mean by that is, so recently Spain said that they're not going to sell weapons to Israel anymore because of, the genocide that's going on in Palestine. Then Trump comes out and says, well, they should be kicked out of NATO. And people are going, oh, you see, that means he's so pro-Israel and everything. Trump doesn't want America to be in NATO. So he says these things that, there's things have double meanings, right? And you know, America is basically fronting the bill for, we pay more into NATO than any other country, which is why Trump always made a big deal about it. Everybody needs to pay their fair share. And I don't want to be in, I don't care about NATO. Like, what do why does America care about NATO? What material benefit do we get out of it?
Yeah.
And that's also why he talks about tariffing these countries unless he can get better deals for our involvement in it. If it doesn't benefit us, if there's no material benefit to the United States citizens and taxpayers, there's no point in doing it. Um, and you can have the pure, puritanical argument or whatever, the fundamentalist argument that, there's the government's too big, you should shut it down anyway. Yeah, yeah, I agree. We can definitely have that conversation. It's another conversation for another time. But I mean, why are we even help? What do we care what they're doing? Why can't we focus on fixing our education system, fixing, even like the drive around in any major city or any road really, and they're crap. There's potholes everywhere. They're not well maintained. The bridges are rusty. I mean, and
Yeah,
again,
bridges collapse,
and on and on and on.
highways collapse. It's just crazy.
So why don't we fix that? Why are we giving money to NATO for what? What what do we get out of it? Like, can
Well,
somebody
we get
please tell me?
nothing. NATO literally does nothing. What, they send UN peacekeeping troops? They haven't done that since the Iraq War, you know?
Yeah, I don't. So I'm all for. It's a double-edged sword because you want the shutdown to happen so these corrupt agencies don't get any more funding, but at the same time, you know, my friends, people I know and care about are getting negatively impacted because now it's affecting our pockets really. So it's definitely a double-edged sword, but what I'm hoping comes out of it is if I think since the shutdown happened, it was announced that like 100,000 IRS, or no, it wasn't IRS, excuse me, a bunch of IRS offices were shut down, but there was like 100,000 government employees that got fired, or maybe it was more than that, or laid off.
Yeah, I saw
Uh,
one that 14,000 no 1,400 employees that guard a nuclear facility or work at a nuclear stockpile facility was laid off. You know, so
14,000?
1,400. Sorry, not
Oh, okay.
14,000. 1,400.
Still.
I do that all the time. Yeah, 1,400 employees, and they're only down to like 400 employees now. And
Well, I mean, if the thing is, he's cutting all the fat, so I don't know about that specific.
yeah, but I mean, they're guarding like nuclear facilities, like the shutdowns. You know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like you definitely want those to be secure. Um, so yeah, it's a mess. And the last shutdown was 35 days. I don't know. Are we like a little over 2 weeks into this, or maybe 3 weeks into this one, something like that?
I think the shutdown occurred on October 3rd, so we are like
Yeah,
22 days into it.
yeah. So hey, what? And we'll talk about it later. But what I care about is the money getting fixed because that fixes pretty much everything. It'll
That
it'll have
helps
a
me. I got to be able to pay my mortgage.
Yeah, and if they can somehow recollateralize the debt into cryptocurrency, which I think that's the ultimate goal with our $38 trillion worth of debt. Who's the debt to, by the way? Who do we owe the money to?
Yeah, I
You can
believe
no, well, you can watch our last video to figure out who that
I
was.
believe Putin's like advisor said that Trump is planning to put the 38 trillion dollar debt into a cryptocurrency and then crash it to reset the system.
Yeah, I think I saw that too. I don't know how that would work, but I mean, the way well, since we're on the topic, I guess we can just kind of we jump into it real quick. And I know we wanted to talk about Candace Owens, but like, but I think it's important to kind of outline it. The way I would look at how, and anybody comment if you think it would work differently, but I think it would work like, okay, let's say, and we like to talk about XRP. Let's just use this for an example. Okay, the government has this crypto stockpile. They got Bitcoin, they got XRP, Solana, Cardano, a couple of other ones. All right, we're now all the laws are passed, and let's say the government shutdown ends tomorrow. They go in through the end of October. They pass the remaining crypto laws, Clarity Act and the Genius Act, and then what they do is they go, okay, now the banks, the big institutions, can now acquire, before price appreciation, they can acquire a whole bunch of crypto, knowing the government's going to hold this money, banks are going to hold it. The crypto ETFs go live for XRP, Bitcoin, a bunch of other ones. They all get approved because now there's legal clarity. So that means you're going to skyrocket the price. And then if you have one asset, all of a sudden, I have crypto that is worth uh, however much these banks need to buy, you can use that to pay off the debt if you needed to even pay it, because there's nothing stopping the really, from what I understand, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, if the Federal Reserve, if we work with them to issue dollars, we can say to them, we don't want your business anymore. We're just going to use cryptocurrency. Why can't the federal government do that? And then that 38 trillion in debt, you can just recollateralize it into, you can either crash the dollar by saying we're not using Fed notes anymore. We're just going to transfer it over. You can have your Fed notes back. I don't think that the contracts, the way that the debt ownership would allow that. But I do think what you can do is you can just say, hey, and Trump has mentioned this, maybe we'll pay it off with a little bit of crypto. Maybe we'll write a check. That's what he likes to say, right?
Yeah, he says
Okay.
that all the time.
So if you have $38 trillion worth of crypto, because they bought $1 billion worth of XRP and now it's worth, $5,000 a pop because it's being used for all the use cases we mentioned, you could pay it off and then say, all right, we paid our debt, Federal Reserve. Thank you very much. You can have your money back. Goodbye. And anybody who wants to work with them can, but nobody wants to work with them because well, we've covered the Federal Reserve plenty of times. So that's kind of how I would look at it. Once there's legal clarity, the banks jump in and they ape in, so to speak, to the crypto market. Now all of a sudden they have a surplus of money, they can pay off their debts, and now we have a free market on a level playing field. And that's kind of how I view a financial reset occurring. So I just wanted to outline my opinion. That's how I think it would, functionally happen.
Yeah, well, one can only hope, you know.
Hey, if
With
XRP goes
that,
to
with that,
$5,000, we'll be really excited.
yeah, XRP goes to $5,000. Yeah, that would be, whew, that would be life changing.
Yeah, we'll
You
be
know?
we'll be doing our podcast on our yachts,
Yeah, right. Yeah,
hopefully.
so we did uh want to discuss a little bit Candace Owens. She did say that she's no longer Team Trump, and she's saying that she believes the FBI or the U.S. government had something to do with Charlie Kirk's death, because they, you know, gave him she said when they name a street after you or give you a holiday, that's usually in the implications that they killed you. So, uh,
Yeah.
we're just gonna leave that there. So, um,
And my reaction to the people jumping off the Trump bandwagon is kind of like kind of glass half full because I'm like, well, who are you going with now? Like Thomas Massey,
there's no one to go with. You
right? Rand Paul, really? That wet napkin of a
There's no
man?
one.
Like,
I mean, his first year isn't even over yet. So, I mean, we'll see the end to his first year as president in January. That'll be a complete 12-month cycle. But we still got 3 more years of this guy. So there's nowhere to go. Just sit there and embrace it and let him do what he's got to do and play it out. Whether or not the American government or some foreign government with, the letter I, is involved in Charlie Kirk's murder. There's nothing we could do about it. Charlie Kirk is dead. We could investigate it, but given the situation, there is a lot of red flags when it comes to his assassination and everything going on around it. So yeah, I understand that.
yeah, and I mean, at least she's questioning the official narrative because the official narrative is ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. But yeah, so we were talking about at least she's questioning the official narrative because we've covered it here. The official story is ridiculous and doesn't make any sense. And
No.
I mean, to say that you're going to Trump was somehow I mean, Trump doesn't run the FBI. I mean, he can appoint people to the FBI, but he can't control, their however many 50,000, 100, I don't know how many people work there, but let's say 50,000 people who work for him. He can't police, no pun intended, every single person who works there, right? So there could be rogue actors that were, did it or whatever the case may be.
I mean, we're conspiracy theorists. We definitely believe that there's a shadow government operating within our own government, and how many people that are in the government that's in the light is involved with the shadow government. It's kind of like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, which is a really good anime that you should watch, by the way. It will explain a lot, you know.
Oh, I'll check it out. I need a new anime. I just finished Dragon Ball Super, so
Yeah,
I do need a new one.
yeah.
I was I
Full
was
Metal
thinking about
Alchemist Brotherhood.
we were thinking about watching Gundam Wing actually
Oh, that's a good one.
because we used to watch it back in the day, but I'll look into Full Metal Alchemy or Alchemist. But anyhow, yeah, the official story makes no sense. So you're going to ask questions, especially when it's a loved one. They were obviously very close friends. So I understand where she's coming from. But if Trump is saying all these things, no, we're going to rebuild Gaza, he's been calling out Israel. He's actively been trying to broker a peace deal. I mean, by my count, he's brokered like two or three of them at this point. He's ended in total 8 wars or 9 wars, even conflicts in Africa and Asia Pacific. He's brokered deals with to end wars.
Yeah, but
And
also we're kind of on the cusp of a new war with Venezuela.
well, yeah, I'm going to be honest. I am not prepared to talk about that. I know a little bit, but
So, I mean,
it
we're not
comes,
we're not basically at war with Venezuela. I've done some digging into this. We're basically trying to stop the drugs from
yeah.
coming from Venezuela into the United States. And Trump said we're gonna kill anyone bringing drugs into the United States. Like, which is kind of weird for a president to say, but it's like we're gonna kill them. And then he clarified it. He was like dead, like kill them, like they're dead. I'm like, what? Like, what else could you mean when you say kill? But yeah,
Right.
he's
Well,
gonna. They're
uh,
blowing boats out of the sky, but blowing boats out of the water. But the thing is, who's going to discern, like, oh, is this like uh, innocent boats? They're just like launching bombs from naval ships, and just like if you've seen some of the videos, these boats are like
yeah.
obliterated. It looks like the movie Battleship, you know.
I'm sure you have a very, in-depth vetting process, but there, he is uh, 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 cracking down on organized crime. I mean, and there was an arrest, I think yesterday in Philadelphia, in Kensington. There was some
Yeah.
gang that they took out, and they were big fentanyl suppliers, and I think they were a Puerto Rican gang or something like that. There's, he's, and there's so many reports that, the last couple of years, you couldn't even walk down the streets of DC, safely, and now DC's extremely safe. You can look at the crime rates. I can't remember his name. Whoever is, I think Pritzker, whoever's the mayor of Chicago, got called out because he said our we're 30th in homicides in the United States, and then the reporter who was talking to him, the news anchor, said, "Actually, you're number one." He goes, "That's not true." Like, no, dude, it is. They call it Chicago Chirac for a reason. It's a killing field.
Yeah.
And they want to report on interracial crimes. They don't want to ever report on black crime, which is 10 times worse. And it needs to stop. How do you and people, I don't know, like people just need to study their history. Like Trump is best friends with Rudy Giuliani, right? He was his personal lawyer for a while. Say what you will about Rudy. I think he's a dirty old man, a creepy guy.
Yeah, he got exposed in Borat too.
Yeah, oh, I didn't see Borat too, but
You didn't see Borat too? Watch it. Rudy Giuliani is like a
yeah,
sleazeball.
yeah, he's a bit of a weirdo for sure. But at the end of the day, he was really good at stopping organized crime in New York City. And why did he do that? Because he made extremely strict penalties for like light crimes. Like you couldn't even litter without, getting fined hundreds of dollars back in the 80s. And Trump is just doing the same model. You can't be nice. You can't play nice with violent criminals and drug dealers. You have to be extremely heavy-handed and just basically, what do you do to a bully? Just make him stop bullying you. You punch him in the nose. And so I see what he's doing and it's working. We have a crime problem in this country, among other things. And
Yeah.
this is what we voted for, is I want him to be tough on crime. There's a story where this was in Sweden, but some girl who was raped by some migrant. I don't know if he was an illegal migrant in Sweden or what, but they decided to not deport him from Sweden because the rape only lasted 5 minutes, so it wasn't that bad. And this is a 16-year-old girl who was walking down, through a tunnel in the subway. And this is our policy. So that's another country. Would that sound that ridiculous here in the United States? Of course
I've
not,
heard
because
other stories about that happening in Sweden and them not deporting the migrants, and they just continue to rape women. Women are like, what they said, it was like Muslim migrants coming in from, you know, uh,
well, everywhere,
like everywhere. Yeah.
yeah.
But hey,
But you need to
and
stop
then
it.
the NBA now.
Well, yeah, that dovetails into the point I was going towards. Thank you for getting me back on track. He's being tough on crime, especially organized crime, and then you have the NBA, who's connected this gambling ring with Chauncey Billups, Mr. Big Shot, a guy I grew up watching, on the Pistons, is the most famous person that's got arrested so far. There's been 34 people arrested, and they're saying it's just the tip of the iceberg. Before our podcast, I was watching a video about an interview with Tim Donaghy, the referee who got arrested for betting on games he was officiating and changing the outcome. Well, so here's the thing. All pro sports are totally rigged. That's my
Yeah.
opinion. I think we could do a whole episode on that. I can go into, you know, you can go into even the family, the Rooney family and the Mara family. They were mob families. They were bootleggers, and you can look into baseball, even in the Ken Burns documentary about the origins of baseball. Baseball started with gambling. The players would gamble, would bet on their own games and throw games so they could make more money. That's how it begins. Professional sports have always been involved with gambling. They've always known the outcome before the game. And, and I can't prove that every single player is in on it, but definitely the superstars who are trusted, who get rewarded with the most money and the biggest contracts, they know what to do. They know how to miss a shot. They never miss shots because they're that talented that they would never drop a pass unless
Yeah.
they were
Look at
told to.
Steph Curry. He never misses a shot. And like when you
Well,
see him miss, it's like, oh,
there's another conversation to be had about how they do that. This is just a little tangent, and then we'll get back to the gambling element. But you know how you see Steph Curry he'll throw a full court, a hook
yeah,
shot, and it goes 80 feet, swish, and he'll do like four of them in a row, and it's just like, how's that humanly possible? You can run copper wiring through a basketball and then you can run an electrical current, or excuse me, copper wiring and magnets can be placed inside of a ball, and you can run an electrical current through the rim, and it can make the shot go in. I can't tell you how many times, like if this is my basket, right, you'll see the ball do this and then skip over like that. I've seen it 100 million times. Watch the quadruple bounce, the quadruple doink for that Kawhi Leonard shot against the Sixers when the Sixers were playing Toronto in the second round of the playoffs in 2018. That ball should not have gone in. It hit the front of the rim on an angle and it bounced forward three more times and then in. That is an impossible shot. That to me proves that there's some sort of mechanism that they can make the ball go in whenever they want. Now, on top of that, these are the greatest players in the world, and they can miss shots and make shots on demand. I've seen, and I've played against some guys who literally never miss. Now if you're playing in a real game and there's stuff going on, yeah, there's sometimes you are going to miss a shot, but certain moments for theater for entertainment because it's all sports entertainment, you can orchestrate it very easily. Now, that's my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. That's like super deep conspiracy level stuff. Let's just push that to the side. Um, it's if you are a referee and you can give two quick fouls to Steph Curry, and you bet the under on the total points for the game. That's how you can control the outcome. Now, maybe it's not totally scripted where they know, okay, we have to get 120 points. This superstar needs 33, and this superstar needs 10. Because he's the losing side this day. You can see how the WWE scripting, could work.
yeah,
Now, if it's not that prevalent, okay, but there's still something going on, and especially like if you look at Chauncey Billups, the guy who was arrested, if you look at his coaching record, he'll take his best players out of the game, when they're up and allow the other team to come back in and put them back in. He's done that several times, and it doesn't make any sense. Like you still have 10 minutes left. Why are you taking your best players off the court to allow the other team to go on a run? Um, it's and he's too smart of a guy, too good of a basketball player. I mean, for crying out loud, he's a Hall of Famer. There's no, if I know that that's bad coaching, he certainly knows it. So there has to be some sort of ulterior motive because he's paid to win basketball games, right?
yeah,
And I think I think this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's going to be more people arrested for gambling. And I have one joke, and we'll move on to our last topic. But I like how the NBA used to handle gambling back in the 90s when they would just make you play for the Chicago White Sox farm team for 2 months or for 18 months. So like they did with Michael Jordan, who was cl
You mean the
definitely
Bills?
betting on his own games. Like, come on.
You mean the Bulls?
Yeah, remember
Said
when he
White
played
Sox.
baseball though? So the rumor is they suspended him for 18 months because he was betting on his own games. So it's,
Oh, that's why he went to go play baseball.
yeah, not because he lost his competitive fire. Like, are you kidding me? You're the most competitive guy. You're a psychopath. There's no way you lose that. I'm tired of winning all the time. I know it's the thing that defined my life, but I'm kind of tired of it. I want to do something else that I'm not good at. That doesn't make any sense.
And Jordan is a notorious gambling addict.
Yeah, and the other thing is why this is the first time in LeBron James' career that he's missed the first month. He's missed the opening tip-off of the season. I'm of the opinion he knew something was coming down. Like, and I think that he just wanted to he doesn't want to answer these questions. And when Chauncey Billups he got arrested, and when they released him, he was wearing a Clutch Sports hoodie when he got released, which is the company that LeBron James is assigned to, or not signed to. I think he owns it, or he's a partner in it, or something like that. So those are comms between perpetrators, in my opinion. Hey, I'm going to squeal on you if you don't get me out of this. And I mean, if Michael Jordan is a notorious gambler, why can't, and you're going to tell me that LeBron James isn't like
Yeah.
it's pervasive throughout the league. Just like LeBron had no idea that what was going on at the Diddy parties that he attended and was always talking about, there ain't no party like a Diddy party. He
Yeah.
had no idea that his assistant coaches were betting on, against their own team when he was sitting out.
People make up
Come on.
excuses for, their favorite athlete or actor or celebrity. Um, you know, they just they refuse to accept the reality that this person could be shady or into something ridiculous. But anyways, I think we're out of time. So well, just do your own investigation, like we say. Don't just take our word for it. Look at all this stuff. There's plenty of articles going on. This stuff is current in the news cycle, so you can, just Google any of it, and the information will come up. But I do want to say thank you guys for joining us this time, and you have a good one. God bless. Christ is King.
Christ is king.
All right, have a good one.